What's good, peeps? Thanks as always for passing by the channel. Much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. All right, let's do this. This Week in Boxing, episode 4. Before we start, I just want to give a massive shout out and thank you to Rob Tebbett of Boxing Social, who came down on his day off to spend nearly 2 hours with me talking boxing. Thank you so much. I've read a lot of the comments on the videos in terms of what we can do to improve it, because I am going to continue to do this going forward. It's probably going to be like a fortnightly thing if I can get sort of guests on. It won't just be boxing guests, it'll be anyone really, just to sit down and talk predominantly boxing, but just other stuff, maybe just life stuff, maybe just football, other sport things, so whatever. So a few things I know I need to improve going forward, like get a shotgun mic. Obviously I'm using a lapel mic now, but you know, normally when I film on my phone. Now I've got a digital camera, so I need to get a shotgun mic for that digital camera. A lot of people have said things like, and I take this on board, by the way, that Rob was maybe talking a lot and I wasn't really talking. It's because I think a lot of the subjects that we spoke about, you guys already know my opinions on them, and you don't necessarily know Rob's opinions on them. So I just wanted Rob to kind of have the floor and speak. But again, these are things we'll work on going forward. It was the first one. It was a setup I literally done just over there with another matrix chair, as you guys like to call them. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I definitely will continue to do this going forward. A lot of people already have reached out about wanting to come on it and do it. So again, it could be a different type of guest, not just boxing guests. All right, let's talk about what happened this week in boxing. There wasn't much fights. There was a fight card in America, I think put on by Top Rank, but nothing special, no disrespect to those fighters. So let's move on from that. Let's talk about fight announcements. It was confirmed and we kind of already knew it, but Usyk versus Takam is done for Chicago, October 12th. I wonder why that fight's happening in Chicago. I mean, I'm guessing there must be a big Eastern European population there, but you think that that fight could have happened over here. And maybe I'm just being greedy, I want all the fights over here. But, I mean, Usyk's fought over here. The crowd loved him. Takam's fought twice, or was it 3 times over here? Sorry, twice. No, 3 times over here. Gashi, Chisora, Joshua, they love him. So it could have been a fight that I think would have done pretty good being in the UK, but regardless, it's on. I can't wait to see Usyk. Is it Usyk or Usyk? I'm going to say Usyk in the heavyweight division. Should be fun, right? Should be fun. This name upset me when I realized he'd been added to a card. This guy retired after getting beaten by Danny Garcia and still, for some reason, wants to have fights, and that's Robert Guerrero, who's been added to the Spence Porter card. Yeah, disappointing. Disappointing. Let's not forget, I think Robert Guerrero is a 3 or 4 weight world champion, has earned good money. So he's ticked everything he wanted to do, right? He's become a world champion in different weight classes. He's earned good money, right? The Floyd Mayweather money must have been good, and some other fights after that. Yet he still continues to fight way past his best. I mean, we've seen enough tragedy in boxing this year. So this shit should stop. This shit should stop. Lewis Ritson versus Robbie Davis Jr. They're going to get it on October the 19th in Newcastle. Should be a great fight. Remember, they had that little, it's only little, but it was a little sound bite of something when Lewis Ritson won his last fight and walked past Robbie Davis Jr. And I think Robbie Davis Jr. called him a melt. I think it was a melt. Interesting. Joshua Buatsi versus Ryan Ford has been added to the Lomachenko card. Jorge Linares is back. He's fighting someone called Al Toyogun. I don't know too much about this guy. September 7th. I don't know what's left of Linares. He got stopped, didn't he, in his last fight? I think it was his last fight, which was disappointing. But yeah, still a dangerous fighter, but not quite sure if there's anything left. Bertabia versus Vodsdik. I think I mentioned this last week, but it's now official for the 18th of October. Phenomenally good fight in the light heavyweight division. I mean, you could make an argument they are number 1 and 2. I mean, people might talk about Bivol and maybe Kovalev still, but I think these guys are 1 and 2 in the division, and they are going to fucking clash, and it's going to be a clash of the titans. Another guy back, because I talked about Robert Guerrero. I mean, this one's even worse. James Kirkland, who's not fought for 4 years. I don't think he's fought since he got smoked by Canelo. He's fighting next week. Hasn't fought in 4 years. I think he's back with Ann Wolf as his head trainer. But yeah, shocking. Liam Smith and Jonah Carroll have been added to this card that Matchroom and DAZN are putting on in Mexico. It's a bit weird, isn't it? It's funny because Liam Smith moved to Matchroom, like a lot of people do, chasing big fights. And his last 2 fights with Frank Warren were Liam Williams, right? They had to fight, considering what happened the last time, and Munguia in a world title fight. He's moved to Matchroom, chasing bigger fights. And I don't even remember who he fought first time round. And now he's fighting a guy I think's got like 9 defeats in Mexico. Okay, so you're moving for bigger fights, I see. All right, to the news. It's not been a crazy amount of news this week, but what there has been significant. A few sound bites from very important people in boxing. Let's first talk about Andy Ruiz. I done a video this week saying Andy Ruiz finally broke his silence about this fight in Saudi Arabia. Remember, he's not said anything. There was a press conference this week. They printed fight posters. Everyone's talking about it apart from the champion. Let's not forget, he is the champion. He might not be the A side, but he's the champion nonetheless. Well, he broke his silence this week saying basically he's not going to Saudi Arabia. I'm not misquoting him. That's what he said. He said the fight's going to happen in America. And he said real news is coming soon. So this is all going to get, I don't know, it's going to get silly, isn't it? I don't know. I guess it's going to get legal. There's going to be litigation. There's going to be contracts being looked at. But it is strange that a press conference was done. Eddie Hearn, when pressed, said in the press conference that Andrew Ruiz Jr. has signed. We know that he signed the contract before the AJ fight. Is that still legally binding? I don't think it is. The way Andrew Ruiz is talking, maybe not. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Remember, Eddie Hearn did say on that press conference that there will be press tours in September. And what's today? Today's dates were August 18th. So I don't know when in September, but September kicks in very soon. And right now the champion is basically said, I'm not going to Saudi Arabia. I don't just think it's the money thing anymore. We know that, I think we heard anyway, his rematch clause is $9 million. His trainer this week was talking about humanitarian stuff. He's talking about all those things now. So they're getting political with it as well. So I'm not quite sure if it's just a case of chuck Andy Ruiz another $5 million and he will turn up. Don't know. So if anyone's thinking about booking tickets, if anyone's thinking about getting visas, I would hold people. AJ's done a few interviews this week. We'll talk about the main one in a minute. But one that he has done, which I found interesting, is that, let's not forget, AJ after the fight was very, stay humble, no excuses, this, that. I think we all can admit that. Now he said, Ruiz hit me with a lucky punch. I mean, kind of contradicting yourself here, AJ. Was it a lucky punch? I don't think it was a lucky punch. It wasn't a Danny Garcia, Amir Khan, where Danny Garcia clearly looked like he was closing his eyes and swinging for the fences. It wasn't that. I thought it was a very well-timed punch. They hit AJ in the top of the head, but then it was several other punches after. It wasn't just one. So, you know what it is? I'm starting to think I see a change in AJ. I don't mind it, by the way. It reminds me a bit, and I hope he doesn't go this extreme, but it does remind me a bit of when John Jones first came to the UFC. I'm a big UFC fan, you guys should know that. And John Jones was very perfect, ticked every single box. I remember John Jones in his first press conference after winning the world title talked about how he saw, I think, a lady getting robbed and chased the man down the street. And everyone just loved John Jones. And then slowly but surely, he started to do things. And everyone was like, and then he went full fucking hill and became the John Jones he is now, which I personally like. Apart from the PED stuff, I like this John Jones. And I wonder if AJ is going to go full hill very soon and just show, I don't know, I hate saying the real AJ, but I do think the one we're seeing, the one that we have seen in the last 2-3 years, is a bit manufactured, I think. I do think there is a monster beneath, but we'll see. But what he did say this week, that's obviously caused a lot of the headlines, a lot of people talking about it. I did a video about it. I kind of changed my mind a bit after doing the video, but he did say that Lennox Lewis was a clown, right? Him and Lennox Lewis seem to have had this weird thing. I'm going to call it a thing still. I don't know. I don't like the word beef, but they've had this weird thing for a couple of years now. I don't know why. Lennox Lewis, from the outside looking in, seems to be a stand-up guy, right? He seems to be a guy that is willing to give knowledge to a lot of other boxers coming up. We've seen the stuff with Daniel Dubois. I don't know if you guys remember that the parking lot video he done with Deontay Wilder. Yes, he will criticize just because he's human and people criticize. So I don't see Lennox Lewis as a bad person or a negative person. I just see him as a person, if I'm honest with you. A person that now works for PBC. And in some instances, maybe has gone a bit too far with the AJ critique. But I do think he's also, and I said this on the video, for every negative, he's also done a few positives as well, right? He can't just, I don't know, he can't just be a Matchroom gimmick and say every single thing positive about AJ just because everyone else is. He can have his own opinion. Did I like that AJ called him a clown? I like that AJ standing up for himself and not accepting regardless of someone's older or bigger or more experienced. But I just think he didn't need to call him a clown. I don't know. I think it's a bit childish. That's my own personal opinion. And I wish that these guys could just, I don't know, I'm sure they've got each other's numbers. Just have a phone conversation. If it's that bad, have a phone conversation. And, you know, you said this, she said that, sort it out, move on. Yeah, I don't want to dwell on that too much. I've already done a couple of videos on that, so fingers crossed that they sort it out. A fight that might be done, looks like it is getting close to being done, I'm hearing anyway, is Joseph Parker versus Derek Chisora. Now, initially they wanted to put this on the undercard of AJ versus Ruiz, but now I'm thinking they might just have it as a standalone fight. I'm not sure if it's a pay-per-view fight, but they both want good money, and I don't know, nowadays it seems like to get good money, you have to chuck it on pay-per-view. Derek Chisora's story is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm just going to touch on it very quickly. Let's not forget, people, Derek Chisora, how long ago was this? Can't remember. Might have been about 9 months ago. No, about a year ago, I'd say. Derek Chisora was being chased around town by Joe Joyce, and David Haye, and they were offering him, what was it? Was it 80 grand? Now we're hearing he could get 7 figures for fighting Joseph Parker. A year ago, 80 grand. I think it was 80 grand. Could be wrong. I think it was about 80 grand. No, I think. But anyway, it was a lot less than what it is now, right? Unbelievable. I don't know if he were to fight Joseph Parker and win. I would make Joseph Parker favorite, but if he were to fight him and win, fucking hell. I mean, could Chisora fight for a world title? Could he make his way up in a mandatory position? Fucking hell. That's crazy. A deal is already in place, we're hearing, for Canelo to fight Kovalev. Providing that Kovalev obviously gets through with no issues against Anthony Yarde. And I'm starting to lean that way now. Before I was very much thinking Anthony Yarde had a chance. Now as the fight gets closer, I'm thinking that Kovalev just steamrolls through him. Then a deal is in place for him to fight Canelo. It's disappointing. I would have preferred to have seen Canelo fight Demetrius Andrade. And then maybe if he comes through that, you fight Kovalev 2020. But they are talking about possibly Canelo versus Kovalev November or December. What are we now? August, September, October, November. If he steams rolled, look, Kovalev could KO Yarde in 1. I'll be very honest with you. He could knock him out in 1. If he does that, then there's no reason he can't turn around and fight Canelo. My only question is, if he does clean out Yarde in 1, would Canelo really want to fight him? Because Canelo's fighting him, let's be honest, because he thinks he's on the slide, which he is. But I wonder if Canelo would fight him if he destroys Yarde in 1. Who knows? Obviously, Billy Joe Saunders signed this week with Matchroom. Good move, I think, for everyone, all parties. I think even for Frank Warren, if he's honest. I mean, he couldn't get the fights, could he? Eddie Hearn says that he's going to have 1 warm-up fight in October. And then he says it's big fight after big fight after big fight. I mean, yeah, ask Kell Brook about that. So I'm not convinced he's going to have big fight after big fight after big fight. But regardless, all the 160 guys are with DAZN, Matchroom. So he can definitely get it on with Andrade again. Maybe the winner of GGG, Derevchenko. I'm not sure about Canelo, although I think that'll be a fantastic fight. If he's going to start 168 for now for this next fight, then I would like to see it to be Chris Eubank Jr. I just want that fight. I don't know why. Not because I think it's going to be a spectacular fight, but the build-up for the first one was bloody out of this world. So I wouldn't mind seeing that again. And let's not forget, Chris Eubank Jr. is a world champion. IBO, it's a world title, people. It's a world title. Kell Brook is back with Dominic Ingle. Yeah, he had 1 fight, I think, or 2 without him. He's now back with Dominic Ingle, which I think is a good thing. Amir Khan has said a few things about this recently, saying Kell Brook should retire, that he's starting to slur his words. If anyone out of those 2, I think, is starting to slur, not slur, I think slur is a horrible word, but if anyone out of those 2 is starting to maybe have a bit of a speech impediment, is that a better phrase? I think it's Amir Khan. If I'm honest with you, Amir Khan sounds a bit, or maybe that's just me, but he's been knocked out viciously a couple of times. Viciously. I mean, the Prescott one was awful. Canelo one awful. The Danny Garcia, that wasn't great to look at. Maidana fight. So if anyone's having a bit of slurring issue, as Khan likes to say, then I think it could be Amir Khan. But aside from all that, it is good to see Kell Brook back with Dominic Ingle in his camp. Let's not forget they did win a world title together. And hopefully this announcement means there's a fight announcement coming soon, right? You don't announce that you're going to train with someone if there's no fight coming up. So fingers crossed there's a fight coming up. Kell Brook needs to lose a ton of weight. And I think he can't make 147. It's going to be 154. And if it is at 154, I think he's dead man walking. As much as I like him, 154 guys would run through him like a hot knife through butter. Finally, and we'll end on this one, not a lot of news this week, guys. Josh Taylor versus Prograis for the World Boxing Super Series final looks like it could be on. I spoke about this last week, that Prograis wanted out of this and that he was going to get legal with him and Lou DiBella against the World Boxing Super Series final, talking about fights and money not being paid. Well, it looks like it could be on now, and we're hearing a rumour that the fight will happen October 12th, O2 Arena, London. So not in Scotland, which is strange, but the O2 Arena in London. Maybe, I don't know, Prograis wanted a kind of neutral-ish venue, right? Rather than fighting in Josh Taylor's backyard, which I think is fair. It's weird, we're hearing about the money as well. So Prograis and I think Josh Taylor, both of them are guaranteed $700,000, which is a lot less, even more than that, lot less than the winners of the tournaments last year. But the winner will also get a win bonus of 1.3 million. So basically they're fighting for $2 million, which isn't bad money at all. And again, I think it's this kind of money, which is obviously they're proving difficult to kind of bankroll right now. So I think this could be the last World Boxing Super Series final we see, which is a shame. I can't see it happening anymore. But yeah, that's it, guys. Peace.